So, hey guys, I'm here with another interview. I have the pleasure to talk to Pr0lly for a second time. It's Coaches Week, and of course, you guys just had like a really good weekend. I mean, game-wise, but just like quick thoughts. I'm not sure if anything news happened. I don't want to dwell too much on it, but the FORG1VEN situation is obviously something we have to cover. But yeah, probably nothing new, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've known about it for 28 hours now. So as much work that can get done in 28 hours has been done. Sadly, it's about to be the weekend, so it's going to be a big pause button on the situation again. So hopefully by Monday we'll have something solid and it'll be positive.
Yeah. So just hypothetically speaking, we talked about H2K in the last interview, if you want to check it out, that even though the roster is a complete new one, you guys just seem to do fine with just plugging in players and like having the strategy down, right? So in the case of FORG1VEN not being able to play anymore and having someone, do you think you have like any, like, do you fear of the team's future maybe? Or are you just like, hey, we're going to have a new player, we're going to just tell him what to do and we're just going to play our macro game? What's like your general take on this?
We would have to refresh a lot because, yeah, I mean, the strategy that we're playing with right now involves we're playing with a highly skilled AD carry. So ideally, we'd still be able to play with the highly skilled AD carry. That shouldn't change that much, but it still would be a change as in, like, you know, this style that we're playing right now is, you know, catered towards FORG1VEN style as well. So getting another AD carry who, you know, wasn't like FORG1VEN would mean we have to like refresh a lot of things and kind of rethink what we're doing. And in terms of efficiency, not really in terms of if it's the right play, but in terms of like the quickest way to win the game kind of thing. So it would change depending on how aggressive the AD carry we got or how like mechanically skilled he was, because I know a lot of fights we get into or like things we do rely on us being able to outplay it. So if we had to go with like a mechanical downgrade for an AD carry, then our games would be slower than they are now, and that wouldn't be that fun to coach a slower game. I want to get our games faster,
So you're saying you rely a lot on outplaying, but don't you think that once you actually meet like a team that is on the equal level in terms of mechanics, that you might have like problems with that?
Well, them outplaying situations are the times that they get themselves in it kind of thing. I don't really coach towards like, hey, this is a 50-50 call. Good luck. Yeah. It's kind of like the more skilled the players are, the more risky of the play we can start playing off. So instead of coaching pure like 100% calls, I can coach more towards like 70-30, like 60-40. So if we want to downgrade, so I would have to start coaching more like 80-20 plays, where I wouldn't put the pressure on the players to outplay, and more of that we just matter of fact have more numbers here, or they can't run this quick so we can get there. But right now the good thing is I have really mechanically skilled players, so right now the plays that we're running do involve them having to outplay. It's not always simply there's nothing that enemies can do.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just talk about your actual game versus Giants. I think that picks and bans, I just want to question like one thing, that was it maybe a bit disrespect to like leave Nidalee and everything open, or was just like Janko saying, hey, I know I'm going to fall down like 50 CS, but it doesn't matter, Nidalee is a shitty champion. Like, I know he's very opinionated about that champion, but from a coach perspective, what do you think of Nidalee? I think she's like pretty strong right now. That's fair to say, right? But from a coach perspective, like, that you have a player that maybe can deal with it. Do you think that is playing anything into the picks and bans from this game?
Well, Nidalee specific, I think it's purely case-by-case basis. I really have to like study the team and see how the jungler plays with Nidalee to like determine if it's actually a good pick for them. I know when we started playing it, I had to Jankos took a lot of the initiative to like learn the champion and learn pathing and stuff like that, and I kind of sat there and pushed him to be more aggressive with it, because I really believe like Nidalee's good in the right hands, but if you play it like not super risky, like I was talking about the 50-50 style, that's pretty much how you have to play Nidalee. It's like you have to do these 50-50 plays and expect to outplay your opponent, because you're Nidalee, you have like ridiculous amount of mobility. But if you're playing this champion and you're doing like 80-20 plays, I think it's going to be a bad champion. So I'll kind of, see if the junglers are like risky junglers or if they're safe. And if they're safe, like, yeah, sure, I'll give them Nidalee. And And then in this game, I think we had a really weird level 1 that we never ran in scrims. So I think that kind of messed up Jankos' jungle path a lot. So it seemed like Nidalee was getting these huge advantages when I think we were thrown into a situation we never really practiced, so we didn't react well to it. In scrims, we have played against Nidalee, like good Nidalees, like kind of as like, testing the waters, like can we actually deal with this champion from a good jungler? And we have like good success with it. Early game is obviously like everyone like, cross your fingers, hope she doesn't come to your lane, like hope she doesn't kill our jungler. It's definitely a risky pick to play against just because like, the highly skilled ones are going to really punish early game. So we have practiced like, with weights on against Nidalee. So it wasn't disrespect to leave it up. It was really the Lisa and Nidalee matchup will give us an advantage in a team fight, I think. So we wanted to push for team fights.
So thoughts on like the triple AD composition? I mean, they didn't really have a frontline or anything and 0 CC, so maybe if that early game would have been a bit better, you probably would have just finished the game in like 20 minutes, or what's your general take on how this composition should have been played out?
From their side?
No, from your side.
From our side? Well, as you saw, like with their composition, like they got Baron and then they just tried to siege and they couldn't really. So regardless of how early game went, their comp does hit a big stone wall where they can't really force dives or anything like that, and they can't really split push with Graves. And I think in side lane, Ahri does better than Corki. So the really only option to win the game was like siege or poke off objectives. And we kind of gave them a free chance to play their comp correctly when we did that weird ass Baron. Whoops. But so other than that, like I think our comp was played decently for the first like 20 minutes maybe, and then I don't know if my team just like got really antsy and they just wanted to like try newer stuff, or they wanted to end the game quickly. But when they went to that Baron, I was like, this is not what we practice, guys. What are you doing? So I have to really like review like how we like what's our decision tree for going to Baron. Like I think we just didn't take into account like this is actually the perfect situation for the comp, because like our Baron was like it was okay because we have Nautilus who can tank forever, and like Lee Sin has some kind of vamp, like Brahm's okay for tanking, so like we could tank it forever. Damage was kind of low, and so they just figured like, oh, we can just start it and we just stay here forever. And then I think we just didn't even consider the fact that their comp wants this kind of thing. So that's kind of hopefully what we'll learn from this is like, we need to take the enemy's comp into consideration when we want to do Baron baits or start Baron, stuff like that. But I think it was hard after we did that Baron throw to play our comp correctly. It really relied on flanks, and once Graves got super tanky, it was like, we have to land a charm on someone or this fight's going to be really rough. Or we have to like land a hook. So it became like our engage became skill shots when normally if we're ahead, our engage becomes like, Nautilus TP's in and then the fight just starts. And then it became like we have to hit a charm, we have to hit a hook, or we have to get like a really sick flank. So the comp got harder to play when they got ahead, or I think they did get ahead, yeah. So once they got ahead, like it became much, much harder to play our comp correctly. But the silver lining was, their comp doesn't take advantages quickly. So you saw them like try to set up for sieges and just stonewall because they can't really dive, they can't really tank turrets. So that was a bad part of theirs, and it kind of worked with us that we had Caitlyn to help stop that siege.
Okay, that's really good insight for the game. Moving forward, next week IEM Katowice. Sadly, you guys are not participating. Instead, we have like 2 middle-of-the-pack teams right now from Europe. What's your general take on who might be good to look out for this tournament? Like, do you think you have any favorite for this tournament? Or from like a coach/analyst perspective, what team would surprise you the most? What's your general short answer about like the tournament? What you can expect?
I'm actually really curious about NA. I mean, that might sound obvious, but like, I don't know. NA right now is what kind of EU was last split, where they had like one dominating team, and then like everyone's like kind of struggling to like pull it up. But then everyone was like, "Oh, Europe sucks." Fnatic was the only good team in Europe. But then like we had pretty good teams in Europe. So now you're watching NA and you're like, "Oh, Immortals is the only one doing well. Everyone else sucks." I'm like, wait, isn't this what everyone said about Europe and it wasn't? So I'm really curious if that's the story with NA. If like NA is actually like, oh, they just have one team that's dominating, but it's helping the other team to actually be really good. So I'm hoping to see some good stuff from NA. I want to watch QG, and I do want to see how Ever does. I mean, I don't know. I haven't watched Ever too much, but like, I don't know. They're just they're a question mark. And same thing with SKT. SKT makes me angry.
Picks and bans from SKT maybe good or not?
I mean, it's hard to judge like the really successful teams. It's hard to judge pick and ban because when you think something looks bad, like maybe you're just super wrong. So when I look at their pick ban, I'm like, this is terrible, and I'm like, wait, maybe I'm just really dumb. So I have to like really like question, like find confidence in myself. Like no, like we're doing it right and they're wrong or something. So it's a really hard mark to look at and look at SKT and be like, they're wrong. Yeah. It's hard to look at Koma and be like, Koma, you're doing it wrong right now. So, I don't know. Maybe.
To be fair, it happened like last time with the Xerath first picks, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Where
So, but is that wrong? If you have like Faker, maybe it is good to do these like super ballsy things where it's like, you know, it's kind of like a confidence play. It's like, yeah, poke them in the face and be like, what you gonna do about it? So, I don't know. There's a lot of scratching my head when I look at other regions because I just don't know what they're playing in scrims and what the results are because the metas are so different. But right now the meta seems like it should be pretty obvious at this point. Like I know last time I said there's a lot of like OP picks, but I feel like now it's like getting thinned down more with like the buffs and like the nerfs that are coming through. I think it's like narrowing down the champion pools of everything right now.
That was the answer I was hoping for. Thank you so much for the interview. Very good, insightful answers. And of course, if you want to check out more stuff, we have more interviews at thescore esports.com. Make sure to check them out. And yeah, see you next time.